Hey friends, and welcome back to Happy Heart Gardens. It is a beautiful morning here in South Alabama. It is the end of March, and I thought it would be the perfect time to do a quick little garden tour. So the fall winter crops are finishing up, lots of things are flowering, and the majority of the summer plants have been planted, or I should say round one of summer plants. Since I have such a long growing season, I do sort of like 2 rounds of summer planting, and I'll explain that more in a minute when I turn this around. So like I said, let's turn this around and see what I got going on. All right, we are just going to start right here on this end. So here we have some strawberries. These have been going for a couple weeks. This is my crazy contraption to keep the squirrels out of the majority of them. And it's working. And I also put down some paper plates to kind of help with slugs. And I think that's been helping too. So I think I only have about 6 plants here or so, but we've been getting like a handful every day, which is great. I actually had strawberries in this whole bed at one point, but it was just too much. With all of the pests, I was tired of fighting them, so I made it half blueberries, and I of course added in scallions, which you can see are going to seed, some different flowers, like there's poppies and thyme as well. And I should have done, let's just do a quick overview of the whole garden here before we get started. So that's the main vegetable garden, which of course I do lots of interplanting with herbs and flowers. And then I also have my pavilion, which I sort of call the pollinator garden. I have a lot of native plants specifically for pollinators. Of course, this giant rosemary. Not to go off course here, but let's go see the rosemary. This thing is crazy. This is just one plant. This is a perennial for me, and yeah, you probably only need one rosemary. They will go crazy. And then here's a little bed, which is typically flowers. I do have a little strawberry there. Again, these are a lot of just volunteers that come back every year. I planted a parsley here. And I'm also trying some potatoes just because I had an extra one, so I stuck it in there. Why not? This gets a little bit of shade, so I like to do a parsley over here just to make it last longer through my growing season. And then, like I said, tons of different native perennials that are just starting to come back. I will talk more about them later on in the year once they start to flower and look a little nicer. More to see. So let's get back to the main garden. So we already kind of talked about this bed here. Like I said, strawberries, poppies, scallions. There are some shallots there in the middle here that I'm just going to kind of let go to seed as well, and then different thyme that's flowering. And then these are a native blueberry. Down here, this is called Rose's Blush. I actually have 2 varieties of these, this one and that one. This one's gotten a lot bigger. Not sure why, but that's okay. Really just beautiful plants. Also make great landscape plants, if that's, works in your area. And just they're just blown up with blooms this year. Look at that. Now these do produce a smaller berry, as you can imagine, because it's a smaller plant. But I just love that they are native, and like I said, they really just thrive here. I just got done mulching them all with pine straw mulch. It doesn't really affect the acidity that much, but it's just very popular down here. It's what's available, so that's what I use. Blueberries really want to be mulched well. They like kind of moisture soil, and like I said, they have shallow roots, so that's why it's important to mulch them. And then moving into the main blueberry bed, I think I have 6 plants in here. This is also just kind of storage for grow bags on the side here. So 6 plants, like I said, 2 of these Rose's Blush, and just, again, just full of blooms. I have worked so hard. We've had so many crazy frosts this year that I just kept covering them up because I'm like, I've got to save all of these blooms. So I'm really hoping it pays off with a lot of blueberries. There's been tons of bees on them, so I'm hopeful. And then we have a couple different varieties. You can see here, I think this is like Silver Dollar, Blueberry Buckle. You can just tell by the different leaf shape and coloring. The Rose's Blush has that real pretty sort of like pinky, purpley, blue, green. That's kind of like that all the time. It's gorgeous. These are kind of more traditional looking blueberries here. You can see we already have blueberries. Isn't this wild? So excited. So it's nice to have different varieties of blueberries because you can get blueberries at different times, which is great. You don't have just one huge harvest. Again, this guy here, so many blueberries already. Very excited about this. And this one's blueberry buckle. That other one was silver dollar. And these two are both blueberry buckle. So not as many berries on these guys as the roses blush, but that's okay. I'm still very excited and cannot wait for fresh blueberries. Here we have sort of a little bit of a crazy bed. So this is where I had my mustard cover crop, and then over the winter, and then in past spring and summer, I did potatoes and peanuts, and I had lots of peanut volunteers come back, as you can see here. So I've loved quite a few of them. I may still take a few of these guys out because there's just so many of them. And I've also just recently planted out some orchard baby corn. I'm kind of doing like a little Three Sisters thing. So I did the little corn starts in a circle around a Romanesca zucchini there in the center, just to see what happens. Orchard baby is a small corn, produces little small corn cobs, but it's super fun. And I had old seed that I did in a seed snail and got a few. So it doesn't look great, but I just planted it out. So I think it will thrive. I'm hoping that it will thrive. That's the plan, right? Got a couple of potatoes here in grow bags. This one's in a milk crate, as you can see, with a grow bag liner. Then just standard grow bag. Again, more potatoes over here in grow bags. We have our onions. They're really looking pretty good. These were planted in January, so they should start bulbing pretty soon. My onions never seem to stand up. I don't know. Some of them do, but you can see which way my sun goes. It goes that way, so they're following the sun. And then I put a couple extras in a grow bag. One is doing great. The other's not so much, but such is life, right? A couple of leeks here in a grow bag. Poppy, and then a sage right there. Finishing up the carrots and the lettuce. So you can see that the lettuces are starting to bolt. That's fine. I'm going to leave them for a little bit longer. And then the carrots are also getting ready to harvest soon as well, because they're more of a cool season crop for me. And then on the other side here, I had just planted apple gourds with the intention of them going up the trellis, and then the peas are sort of finishing up too. So I'm like at that stage of the season where I have like the cool season crops finishing up, so I'm planting out the warm things, and then as the warm things like these apple gourds start to grow, the other things will come out, so it'll all work out, or should all work out. That's the plan, right? Some nasturtiums. Hopefully they'll go up the trellis along with the apple gourd as well. Of course, some chives here, regular chives, garlic chives, again, more poppies. I think that might be a weed, but I'm letting it go to see what happens. Here we have my leeks, my first time growing leeks. I'm excited with how they are looking as well. Never grown them before, so I think we're doing okay. They appear to be leaking, doing their thing. Coming over here, we have the new tomato bed. Just planted this guy out a few days ago. So that's why you can see things are just getting started. I still need to come back and tie these guys onto the stakes. I haven't done that yet. But like I said, I just planted this out. I have a lot of volunteer alyssum. You can see here. Excited about that. I only have, let's see, 8 tomatoes in this bed. I tend to plant really close, and I don't know that that's always the best idea. So this year I was really trying to be more mindful about giving them proper spacing and seeing if that makes a difference with production, health, all that kind of thing. So that's why I only have 8 in this 4x8 bed with, of course, you know, some other companion plants like calendula, some dwarf basil right here. It's one of my favorites to grow for a companion plant. Some regular basil, another calendula. And then I also have cucumbers here to go up the trellis. I did this last year with cucumbers and it did great. Hoping for same success this year. Again, another grow bag with potatoes. I just kind of poke stuff all over the place. And then here we have another mixed bed, as you can see. Another calendula, another Thai basil. Of course, this is a perennial oregano for me. Some more carrots that are getting towards the end. So when they come out, that'll give extra space for the peppers. Here I have serrano peppers, Jimmy Nardellos, and Cal Wonder bell peppers. Now peppers can be a little bit closer planted. They actually kind of don't mind touching a little bit. So that's why I did them closer together. And then on the other side there, you can see I have some leeks. I had some extra leeks, so I just stuck them there. Of course, another dwarf basil. I'm really into companion planting and interplanting. Sun gold tomatoes on our trellis. And I have garlic in front of them, which will also come out in a month or two, giving them, again, more space to grow up. And then when the garlic comes out, I'll probably put in something like marigolds or something else that will complement the tomatoes. And the sun golds, if you've never grown them, excellent tomato, really good flavor. They're always the first ones to produce. You can see they already have flowers, and they also produce the longest. Just incredible, incredible tomato plants, really great flavor. Back to the onion bed real quick. On the other side of them, I am growing tomatillos on the trellis. Again, the onions will come out in a month or two and should give plenty of space for the tomatillo to go up the trellis. And then I have a little parsley there in the corner. Hopefully he's going to get a little shade and he won't bolt on me so fast. It's really hard for me to grow like parsley in the summertime because they just, in my climate, it grows super fast. Then of course we have the eucalyptus and then my blackberry. Some of the leaves look a little funky, not gonna lie. I'm new to blackberries. This is probably some type of disease, fungal issue. I should probably come out and trim these guys off, the bad looking ones. But overall it doesn't look terrible. So considering I don't really do much to it, I'm happy with that. But yeah, I will take off those diseased looking leaves so it doesn't spread because we don't want that. Giant carrot box. We'll be starting to think about harvesting them soon, so stay tuned for that. This was the bed that had a lot of lettuce in it. I've taken most of this out. I'm letting some go to flower just because I don't have a lot of flowering things right now. I just planted a ginger here. Again, I'm hoping they get the shade from both this rose plant that I have here. I wanted to bring a trailing rose into the garden. And then I also put a couple cucumbers on that side. So the morning sun comes from that direction. So I'm hoping that will give the ginger enough shade. I think the ginger will thrive better in shade than in my full sun in the South Alabama climate. Again, I have a parsley to shade that out. And I haven't really grown ginger in with a bunch of other things. So that's a new experiment. We're just going to see what happens. I already kind of talked a little bit about my rose. Just planted him in the fall. Seems to be doing well, putting on lots of new growth. I'm excited. I hope it just fills this whole trellis. I did sort of sacrifice this trellis as he fills out and grows from, growing vegetables on it, but that's okay. I'm getting so I really love roses, so it's worth it. Tons of flowering cilantro, which if you can let your cilantro flower and go to seed, do it because it brings tons of little pollinators. Sometimes they're so tiny you can't even see them. The flowers are just so pretty and delicate. And also once it forms seed, of course you can use that seed, to plant for future use, or you can just have it for coriander seed. So I have a bunch flowering there. I have some flowering here, and this is the volunteer flower bed. So a lot of zinnias, cosmos. I also planted out some zinnias and cosmos. I think I have some balsam coming back right here. I believe that's balsam. And I did plant a few herbs in here this time too. Like I have some dill. I planted a bunch more dill seeds, some basils, and some parsley. Because again, when a lot of those things form, like the dill, the swallowtail butterflies love dill. So don't think about just flowers when you're looking to attract pollinators and butterflies. There's some herbs that they also really appreciate. So I'm hoping this will just fill out and be a whole flower, herb, pollinator bed. That's my plan. I really like to make things accessible for bees and pollinators along with all the vegetables. I just think it helps give you better vegetables. So our last trellis, this is the other side of the tomato bed that has the cucumbers on this side. I have beets that I'm leaving for just a couple more weeks, but I have already planted out some zucchini and some more cucumbers. It might be tight, but we're going to see what happens. Of course, nasturtium. As you can guess by now, I love interplanting. a little basil, and then more cilantro that is bolting, which I will just leave until it seeds. And then I will take this guy out, and the other guys will have plenty of sunshine. Garlic in a grow bag. Here we have kale and mustard. This mustard is flowering. I'll leave him for a little bit longer. Another red mustard. More potatoes in pots. A little dill in a grow bag. Of course, these are potatoes. Look at these guys. I also protected these from the frost. So glad I did. If you do get some frost damage on your potato foliage, lots of times they will come back, but these were so far gone, like, I mean, growing so far mature that I really wanted to protect them, and I think it paid off. So hopefully they're growing nice big tubers down there. And then one more grow bag with garlic and calendula. This calendula has been flowering for quite a while and has just been really pretty in the garden. And then last bed, we have celery, which will also be coming out pretty soon because that won't take the heat. I've already taken out 4 of them that I had farther down the bed. I've just left these 2 to use for a little bit longer. The perennial kale, or excuse me, thousand-headed kale, which is a perennial for me, but the specific variety is thousand-headed. Is still just going. I don't know how. It's incredible. It's been chewed down by the squirrels numerous times, and it just keeps going. It's even like split in half, and it's still growing. This stuff it's amazing. And it's taking up a lot of space, but I don't even care. I just love how it looks in the garden. I'm keeping them. And last up, tons of volunteers from the flower bed. I'll probably end up taking these out. A lot of cosmos. And then we have another zucchini, another cucumber, and another cucumber, and of course more carrots. So again, like I said before, these carrots will come out in the next few weeks, and then that'll give plenty of space for these cucumbers and zucchinis to fill these all in. And if I will, once I take the carrots out and the cucumbers and zucchinis have started to fill in, I'm going to come in and poke in bush beans and just let them all kind of grow together. And then just the last thing, we have my bay leaf, my bay laurel. Doesn't look great. Might have gotten too much cold. I have some new growth at the bottom, you can see, but I did go ahead and cut off a lot of this dead. I don't know if that was a smart idea or not, but it's what I did. I should probably cut this one down too because that stem doesn't look good. So that's what happened. And then again, just a few more carrots on the sub pod. Oh my goodness, I feel like that was a really long tour. So thank you for hanging on if you were here for the whole thing. I feel like my garden is not that big, but I guess when I start talking about like each little individual thing, it does take a little while. So I love this time of year. I love springtime when everything's just sort of small and growing and the weather's perfect. It's just the birds are out. It's just lovely. And as I've mentioned numerous times, I'm a huge fan of companion planting, bringing in flowers and herbs and just incorporating that into all the beds or even in little grow bags, just really having that just all intermixed all throughout my garden. So that was my garden tour at the end of March. Thank you for being here. If you made it out to the very end, I so appreciate you. And if you have any questions, as always, please let me know. Happy growing, friends.